I was kneeling under a buffet table, sweating in a cheap dress, fixing a loose HDMI cable while my sister, Briar, stood over me. She intentionally tipped her red wine, letting it soak into my hair. Oops, she giggled to her fiancé's wealthy parents. My sister is a bit of a klutz. She's just the tech help today. My parents didn't defend me, they just told me to clean the floor. They didn't know I wasn't just fixing the cables. I was setting up the projection that would destroy Briar's perfect life in front of 200 elite guests. My name is Elara. I am 32 years old. For the last decade, I have been the ghost of the family. My sister, Briar, is 35. She is what people call a golden child. She's tall, blonde, and runs a successful boutique marketing firm. Or at least, that's what she tells everyone. My parents, Marisol and Thatcher, treat her like a goddess. I work as a digital forensics analyst. It sounds fancy, but to my parents, it means the girl who fixes the Wi-Fi. I work from a small home office. I don't own a designer bag. I drive a 10-year-old Toyota. Because of this, my family assumes I am struggling. The truth is, I've been the one keeping them afloat. 7 years ago, my father Thatcher had a major heart complication. The bills were $80,000. Briar was busy investing in her business, so she didn't pay a cent. I took a second job and emptied my savings. I paid it all. My parents told the relatives that Briar's business success saved Thatcher's life. I didn't correct them. I thought family helped family. 2 years later, their mortgage was underwater. I stepped in again. I have paid $2,400 every month for their house for 5 years. That's $144,000. They think the money comes from a government assistance program I applied for on their behalf. In reality, it comes from my salary. Yesterday, the disrespect reached a new level. Briar got engaged to Sterling, a man from an old money family in the city. The engagement party was held at a private estate. My mother called me a week ago. Elara, we need you to help, she said. With the planning? I asked. No, dear. We can't afford a full catering staff and a tech team. You're good with computers and serving. You'll wear a black dress and stay in the background. It saves us $2,000. You want your sister to be happy, don't you? I arrived at the estate 4 hours early. I set up the sound system, the microphones, and the massive 100-inch LED screen for the tribute to Briar video. By 7 p.m., the ballroom was full. Sterling's parents, the Vaughns, were there. They are worth millions. Briar was wearing a $5,000 gown. I was carrying a tray of champagne flutes. Elara, more napkins at table 4, my mother hissed as she walked past me. She didn't look at my face. She looked at the tray. I went to table 4. Briar was there, laughing with Sterling. Oh, look, it's my little sister, Briar said loudly. She's so sweet. She insists on helping out. She's not really a career woman like me, so she enjoys being useful in other ways. Sterling looked at me with pity. That's nice of you, Elara. I'm actually an analyst, Sterling, I said quietly. Briar laughed. She analyzes how many times a computer turns on and off. Anyway, Elara, look down. She tilted her glass. The cold red wine hit my scalp and ran down my neck. I gasped. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Briar said, her voice dripping with fake concern. I'm just so clumsy when I'm excited. Mom, can you get someone to clean this up? Elara is making a mess of the carpet. My mother marched over. She didn't ask if I was okay. She grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the kitchen. Go to the bathroom and dry off, Marisol whispered harshly. And stop talking back to Briar. You're embarrassing us in front of the Vaughns. Just do your job and stay out of sight. I stood in the kitchen, shivering. I took off my glasses and wiped the wine off the lenses. My hands were shaking, not from sadness, but from a cold, hard rage. For years, I had been the safety net. I had been the one paying the bills, fixing the problems, and taking the insults. I pulled out my phone and checked my credit monitoring app. A notification had popped up an hour ago. Asterisk card inquiry, new auto loan, $120,500. Creditor, Portia Financial Services. Asterisk. I tapped the details. The applicant's name, Elara Marisol Ryder. My heart stopped. I hadn't applied for a car loan. I looked at the digital signature. It was my social security number, but the email address associated with the application was timesbrierriderofficial@gmail.com*. They didn't just want me to be the servant. They had stolen my identity to fund Brier's successful image for her new in-laws. My credit score, which I had worked years to keep at 850, was being used as a personal piggy bank for a woman who just poured wine on my head. I sat in the back of the kitchen, opened my laptop, and connected to the estate's Wi-Fi. As a forensics analyst, I have tools the average person doesn't. I accessed the shared family cloud drive. My parents are bad with passwords. I found a folder labeled Brier, Wedding and Business. Inside was a nightmare. There were scans of my birth certificate and my passport. There were forged documents showing I was a co-signer for 3 different credit cards, all maxed out. Total debt, $45,000. Then I found the business ledgers for Brier's marketing firm. It wasn't a firm. It was a shell. She hadn't had a paying client in 18 months. She was using the $150,000 small business loan she took out in my name to pay for her designer clothes, her office rent, and this very engagement party. I felt a sharp pain in my chest. My mother knew. There was an email from Marisol to Brier, asterisk. I sent the papers with Elara's signature. She never checks her mail anyway. She's too busy with her little computer tickets. This will get you through the wedding, and then Sterling can pay it off. Asterisk. They weren't just neglecting me. They were predatory. They had decided that my future, my ability to buy a house, my financial security was a sacrifice they were willing to make for Brier's vanity. I looked at the clock. 8:30 p.m. In 30 minutes, the tribute to Brier video was scheduled to play on the big screen. I didn't call the police yet. I didn't scream. I went back into the ballroom. Elara, where have you been? Thatcher, my father, demanded. The dessert plates need to be cleared. I'm on it, Dad, I said. My voice was flat. Good girl. And make sure the video is ready. Brier wants it to be perfect. It will be, Dad, I promised. It will be unforgettable. I walked over to the tech booth at the back of the room. The local AV guy was there. Hey, I've got the updated file for the slideshow, I told him. I handed him a thumb drive. The sister already gave me one, he said, looking confused. She found some typos in the captions. She asked me to swap it out. I'm the one who built the original file anyway. He shrugged and plugged it in. You're the boss. I stayed by the booth. I watched Brier. She was standing at the front of the room, holding a microphone. She looked like a princess. The Vaughns were sitting in the front row, looking impressed. Everyone, if I could have your attention, Brier said, her voice melodic. I want to thank you all for coming. Building a business and finding the love of my life hasn't been easy, but I've always believed that integrity and hard work pay off. I looked at my phone. I sent a text to Uncle Silas, my father's brother. He's an accountant and the only one who ever treated me like a human being. Asterisk, Uncle Silas, check your email. I need you to confirm these documents are real. I'm about to go live. Asterisk. 5 seconds later, he replied, asterisk, Elara, what is this? This is felony fraud. Where are you? Asterisk. Asterisk, I'm at the party. Asterisk, I replied. Asterisk, watch the stream. I told you I'd fix the Wi-Fi. Asterisk, gotisk. I looked at the AV guy. Start it now. The lights dimmed. The giant screen flickered to life. The first slide appeared. It wasn't a photo of Brier as a child. It was a high-resolution scan of a bank statement. My name was at the top. The balance due was highlighted in bright, neon red, asterisk asterisk $154,200 asterisk asterisk. Underneath the statement, in a large, clear font, I had typed. Asterisk asterisk the cost of a golden girl, How Ilara Ryder paid for this party with stolen identity. ****. The room went silent. I mean, dead silent. You could hear the hum of the air conditioning. Briar froze. Her mouth stayed open, but no sound came out. Sterling leaned forward, squinting at the screen. "What is that?" Sterling's father asked, his voice booming. I stepped out from behind the booth and walked toward the front of the room. I wasn't the invisible servant anymore. Every eye in the building was on me. If you were in my shoes, what would you do next? Did I do the right thing? The screen didn't change. The bank statement stayed there, glowing like a neon sign of betrayal. My mother, Marisol, was the first to move. She rushed toward the tech booth, her high heels clicking frantically on the marble floor. "Turn it off. Someone turn this garbage off," she screamed. I stood my ground at the front of the room. I grabbed a second microphone from the podium. "It's not garbage, Mom. It's a 100-page forensic audit of my life," I said. My voice was amplified through the expensive Bose speakers I had set up earlier. It was crystal clear. The guests were buzzing now. Sterling, the fiancé, walked toward the screen, his face turning a deep shade of purple. He looked at the small business loan document. "Briar," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Why is your business address listed as Ilara's apartment? And why is the loan amount exactly the same as the investment you told me you made in our future home?" Briar finally found her voice. She didn't use it to apologize. She used it to attack. "You bitch!" she shrieked, pointing a manicured finger at me. "You're jealous. You've always been the invisible, pathetic loser of this family, and you're trying to ruin my big day because nobody will ever want to marry a tech geek like you." "I'm not ruining your day, Briar," I replied calmly. "I'm just stopping the payments. As of 5 minutes ago, I've frozen all the accounts tied to my social security number. That includes the credit card you used to pay for that dress, the catering, and the rental for this estate. The external validator, 800 words." Right on cue, the heavy oak doors at the back of the ballroom opened. 2 men in dark suits walked in. They weren't guests. They didn't have champagne. One of them held a badge. "Mr. Thatcher Ryder? Miss Briar Ryder?" the taller man asked. The room went silent again. This was the public humiliation variable in full effect. Every wealthy guest, every business contact Briar had lied to, was watching. "I am Detective Miller from the Financial Crimes Division," he announced. "We received a report of identity theft and felony fraud involving the unauthorized use of Ilara Ryder's credentials to secure over $200,000 in loans. My father, Thatcher, looked like he was having another heart attack. This is a family matter. My daughter is just confused." "I'm not confused, Dad," I said, walking toward him. "I have the emails you sent to Briar. I have the forged signatures. And I have the record of the $80,000 I paid for your heart surgery that you told everyone Briar paid for." I turned to the guests, specifically to Sterling's parents. "Mrs. Vaughn, you told me earlier that you admired Briar for her self-made success. She isn't self-made. She is sister-made. She built her brand on my credit score and my silence. But I'm not silent anymore." I clicked a remote in my hand. The screen changed to a new slide, the gift list. It showed a list of every designer bag, every luxury vacation, and every pair of shoes Briar had bought in the last 2 years using the stolen loan money. Next to each item was the date it was purchased, usually a day after I had deposited my hard-earned salary into the family assistance account. The power shift, 800 words. Sterling stepped back from Briar as if she were radioactive. "You told me your firm was handling 3 Fortune 500 accounts," Sterling said, his voice trembling with rage. I was going to. The contracts were coming." Briar sobbed. "No, they weren't," I interrupted. "I checked your servers, Briar. You haven't sent an outgoing proposal in 6 months. You spent 8 hours a day at the spa while I was working 12-hour shifts to pay for your office, which is actually just a luxury Airbnb." The detective moved closer. "Miss Briar Ryder, we need you to come with us for questioning." "No. Today is my engagement," she wailed. My mother tried to block the detective. "You can't do this. Ilara, tell them you made a mistake." Tell them it was a gift. It wasn't a gift, Mom. A gift is something you give willingly. This was a parasitic extraction, I said. I looked at my mother. The woman who had poured wine on my head an hour ago was now looking at me with pure terror. By the way, I added, loud enough for everyone to hear. The lease on your house, the one I've been paying for. I called the landlord this morning. I'm removed as the guarantor. Since none of you have jobs or credit, the eviction notice should be taped to the front door by the time you get home. The collapse of the golden child, 800 words. The party was over. Guests began to leave, whispering and shaking their heads. The old money Vaughns didn't even say goodbye. Sterling took the engagement ring box out of his pocket, looked at Briar with disgust, and walked out without a word. Briar was a heap on the floor, her $5,000 dress stained with her own tears. The detective escorted her, and my father out toward the police cruisers parked among the Ferraris and Lexuses in the driveway. I stood in the middle of the empty ballroom. The catering staff, the people my family thought I belonged with, looked at me with a mix of awe and respect. One of them, a girl about my age, walked up and handed me a clean towel for my wine-stained hair. That was legendary, she whispered. I sat down at the kids' table where they had forced me to sit. I opened my laptop one last time. I saw a flurry of messages in the family group chat, mostly from cousins and aunts who had seen the live-streamed version of the slideshow. I had made sure the private family link was active. Elara, how could you? One aunt wrote. You've ruined your sister's life. Wrote another. I didn't reply to them. I blocked them all. One by one. I felt a strange sensation. It wasn't guilt. It was lightness. For the first time in 32 years, I didn't have the weight of 3 people's failures resting on my shoulders. I looked at the golden child who was now being loaded into the back of a police car through the window. She looked small. She looked ordinary. Without my money and my tech support, she was nothing but a blonde woman in a borrowed dress with a mountain of debt. I packed up my HDMI cables. I folded my cloth. I picked up my laptop. As I walked to my old Toyota, my mother ran up to me. Elara, wait. You have to fix this. Talk to the bank. Tell them it was a mistake. We're your family. I unlocked my car. You're right, Marisol. You are my family. And that's exactly why I gave you a 100-page report instead of a 1,000-page one. I left out the part where you helped Briar forge the tax returns. Consider that my final tech support for you. I started the engine. Where are you going? She cried. What are we supposed to do? I'm going to a hotel, I said. And as for you, I suggest you start looking for a job. I hear the catering company is looking for people who are good at staying in the background. I drove away, leaving her standing in the gravel, finally realizing that the background noise had just turned into a deafening roar. If you were in my shoes, what would you do next? Did I do the right thing? I woke up at 10 a.m. in a hotel room overlooking the city. For the first time in 7 years, I didn't check my bank balance first thing in the morning. I didn't have to. I knew exactly where every cent was. I turned on my phone. 142 missed calls. 86 text messages. Most were from my mother, Marisol. They started with rage, asterisk, how dare you do this to your sister? Asterisk then moved to bargaining, asterisk. If you drop the charges, we can talk about the money, asterisk, and finally settled into desperation, asterisk. The locksmith is here. They are changing the bolts. Elara, please pick up. We have nowhere to go. Asterisk. I scrolled past them. I looked at the news. A local business blog had already picked up the story of the disastrous engagement of the city's rising marketing star. The headline read, asterisk asterisk boutique marketing firm exposed as fraud at owner's engagement party. Asterisk asterisk. I called my lawyer, a woman named Thalia who specializes in white-collar crime and identity theft. They're calling me, Thalia, I said. Don't answer, she replied. The police have enough from your digital audit to keep Briar in questioning for days. The credit card companies are already flagging the $45,000 in forged debt as fraudulent. You're legally clear, Elara. But the money you spent voluntarily over the years? the $215,400. We're filing that as a civil suit for repayment based on the family assistance contract they signed under false pretenses. Will they have to pay it back? I asked. They don't have the money now, Talia said. But we'll put a lien on every asset they ever touch. If your father tries to sell his vintage watch or your mother tries to get a bank account, we'll be there. They'll be paying you back for the rest of their lives. 3 days later, I had to go to the precinct to sign the final deposition. As I was leaving, I saw them. My father, Thatcher, was sitting on a wooden bench. He looked 10 years older. The expensive suit he wore to the party was wrinkled and stained. My mother was pacing, her hair unkempt. Briar was being led out of a side room by a court-appointed attorney. She wasn't wearing her designer gown. She was wearing a gray sweatshirt provided by the station. Her golden child glow was gone. When they saw me, my mother rushed over. Elara. Look at your sister. Are you happy now? She's been in a cell. She has a criminal record because of you. I looked at Briar. She didn't look at me. She looked at the floor. She has a criminal record because she stole my life, Mom, I said. I didn't forge those signatures. She did. You watched her do it. You cheered her on while she spent my house deposit on her plastic surgery and her influencer lifestyle. Thatcher stood up, his voice trembling. We're your parents, Elara. We raised you. We gave you everything. No, Dad, I corrected him. You ignored me. You used me as background noise. You only raised me to be a safety net for your favorite child. You didn't give me everything. I bought everything. I bought your heart surgery. I bought your roof. I bought the very shoes you're wearing. And today, I'm taking the receipts. Briar finally looked up. Her eyes were full of venom. You think you're so much better than us because you have money? You're still just the weird girl who talks to computers. You'll always be alone. I'd rather be alone in a house I own than be surrounded by family in a cell I built for myself, I replied. I turned and walked out. I didn't look back when my mother started screaming my name. The following month was a domino effect of justice. Sterling Vaughn's family officially broke off the engagement. They didn't just leave, they sued Briar for the return of the $50,000 dowry gift they had given her for the wedding. With no investors and no stolen credit, Briar's firm was liquidated. The office furniture, the computer she barely used, and even her car were seized by creditors. She had to move into a tiny, one-bedroom apartment in a bad part of town, an apartment paid for by my father's meager Social Security check, which was now their only source of income. My parents were evicted from their home. They tried to move in with Uncle Silas, but he refused. I saw the files Elara sent, Silas told them. You didn't just fail as parents. You acted as accomplices. Don't call me again. They ended up in a small rental unit. My mother, who used to spend $400 a month on her hair, was now working as a part-time receptionist at a dental clinic. My father was working as a security guard at a mall. For the first time in their lives, they had to live on what they actually earned. I, on the other hand, made a move of my own. I sold my old Toyota. I closed my office. I bought a small, modern cabin in the mountains of Vermont. It has floor-to-ceiling windows and the fastest internet connection money can buy. I spent $300,000, money I had saved in a secret high-yield account that my family never knew existed. I decorated it with things I loved, not things that made me look successful to others. I bought a golden retriever not because it looked good in photos, but because I wanted a loyal companion. I named him Bite. 6 months later, I was sitting on my deck, watching the sunset over the valley. My phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. It was a photo. A photo of my mother and Briar sitting in their cramped kitchen, eating a cheap dinner. They looked miserable. The caption read, *, is this what you wanted? To see us suffer? We're sorry. Please. We're still family. We can't survive like this. *. I looked at the photo for a long time. I felt a small twinge of something, but it wasn't guilt. It was closure. I didn't reply. I blocked the number. I realized then that they didn't miss me. They missed my services. They didn't want Ilara the daughter, they wanted Ilara the ATM. They wanted the girl who would fix the Wi-Fi and pay the $2,400 mortgage without asking questions. I picked up my laptop and went to a Reddit forum I frequent. I posted the final update to my story. Asterisk update, it's been half a year. I am, no contact with all of them. My credit score is back to 820. I own my home. I am happy. They are learning what life is like when you actually have to pay for it. Some people say I was too harsh. Some say I should have forgiven them because family is everything. But I think those people are wrong. Family isn't a license to steal. Love isn't a debt you owe to people who treat you like background noise. Asterisk. I closed the laptop. The mountains were turning a deep purple. I have a new life now. A life where I am the main character, not the help. A life where my success is celebrated by the people who actually care, starting with myself. I let my parents get evicted and sent my sister to the brink of a criminal record to save my own future. My mother says I'm the villain of the family story, but after 7 years of being their invisible bank account, I finally feel like the hero of my own. So, I have to ask, was I too cruel? Or did I finally give them exactly what they earned? Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been the invisible child or felt the sting of family betrayal, you're not alone. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories of justice and standing your ground. Leave a comment below. What would you have done if you found out your family stole your identity? See you in the next story.